Not a lot of video game stuff to do right now, so back to fragrance reviews. I'm gonna do a fragrance that I haven't actually talked about, I don't think, before on my channel. One of the most infamous kind of fragrances I feel like the past few years. I'm gonna do MFK's Baccarat Rouge 540, Baccarat Rouge 540, whatever. And I'm just gonna give a little bit of a comparison of it between Mancera's Instant Crush and Montal's Sensual Instinct, I think it's called, right? The too long didn't read is I just want to say this, and to get this on a little theory of fragrances, these aren't clones. I don't know how anyone thinks that these are clones. Clones the idea of clones and fragrances is pretty interesting because on one hand, once you've smelled maybe how many hundreds and thousands of fragrances, I'm sure something is going to smell similar inevitably, right? But some of the stuff, like maybe something has a vibe of something, right? Like, oh, it kind of has a vibe of something, right? But some of the stuff that people say is a legit clone in the fragrance community is just, it blows my mind. Like, I don't fucking get it at all. It's extremely, I don't get it at all, dude. It makes no sense to me. So I just want to get that out of the way. These aren't clones whatsoever. Don't worry about that, I guess. For better or worse, right? So what would I say that Baccarat Rouge 540? I'm saying let's just say BR 540, right? What do I think it smells like, right? Well, I've seen a lot of people. Some people say it smells like burnt cotton candy. Some people say it smells like band aids. I think one thing that is generally accepted is that people think it is a generally accepted that people like the smell, but that people think it's a fake kind of smell. It's a chemical kind of smell. And on that subject, if we were to think of what else is a famous chemical kind of smell fragrance or something like a fragrance note, whatever, right? And we might think of something, say, like Molecule 01, right? Is a very kind of famous in the fragrance community, kind of like a, I guess, a molecule, a note, a fragrance, but that kind of like a fake note, a fantasy note. Where the fuck? It's just like whatever. It's not like a real thing. You don't just go in the woods and you're like, oh, it's a molecule or one, or oh, it's amber wood, whatever. You know what I mean? And on that subject, I've always said that I probably should have worn my Molecule 01 sample before I did this, but that I recall, Molecule 01 kind of smells like a plastic saw sawing through some wood, and then the wood chips kind of burst, and you get like a bit of a sort of sweet plastic with sawdust smell, right? And maybe because it's chemical, maybe some people can't apparently smell it, which I'm going to get to about this BR 540 too. Maybe because it's a chemical, some people become asnomic or whatever that word is to it very quickly. Maybe some people think it's strong, whatever, right? And that is something that 540 does too, because I can tell you, I have put on a single spray on my arm, right? Before. Single spray from the sample vial, right? I think the MFK website, I think they're like 2 milliliter samples. Whatever, that's the sample I have, right? Single spray on my arm, dude. I have had people in a room actually compliment me that they could smell me, that it was like filling up the room. When I didn't think that it was that strong, okay? So maybe again, not saying I couldn't smell it. It wasn't like exactly like Molecule 1, but it was stronger than I thought, right? Again, I guess that's a little bit for its performance, right? So the performance is good. What do I think it smells like? Well, I would almost compare it to something like maybe you have this piece of wood, I guess. And if you were to open up the piece of wood, there would be a sort of sparkly sugar crust on the wood when you open up the wood. There's a bit of like a sugary, it's a very woody scent to me. I don't feel like it's exactly kind of like burnt sugar or burnt cotton candy exactly, but it is very much a woody scent to me, right? So hopefully that doesn't keep beeping this whole time. It's very much a woody scent. So maybe you open up a piece of wood, and when you open up the wood, there's just a sugar glaze, and you see a little bit of a sparkle. You know what I mean? A little bit of a sheen on that piece of wood. I don't know how else to describe it. You know what I mean? I do agree it is kind of a potentially, it's not a real smell. It has never done anything for me per se, so I've never been super interested in it. Again, I have gotten compliments on it the very few times that I've worn it, but it doesn't really exactly interest me. But it is what it is. I have heard people like it. Performance is fine, whatever, right? So on the other ones, what do I think of Montal's Sensual Instinct? This one was totally lost on me. Dude, I don't know what people are thinking that this smells anything like BR 540, dude. Totally lost on me. I wanted to like this because it's like, oh, even if it's a clone, maybe it's kind of, it does in its own way. 'Cause some people say it's like it's a more gourmand version of 540, whatever, dude, right? Coffee, all this kind of shit. I wanted it to be like that. But you want to know what I smelled out of this one, dude? Excuse me. I just got grandma, dude. This is like sometimes when you like, a lot of Montales, Monceras, they got like a rose smell. And a lot of times my nose associates rose with either a grandma kind of rose, or a Bazooka Joe bubblegum kind of rose. I don't even know if they sell Bazooka Joe bubblegum anymore, right? This was a grandma rose, and I saw someone on Fragrantica said they smelled like a lot of earthy patchouli. I'll say that as well. Maybe a lot of earthy patchouli with grandma rose. I guess once it like totally dies down, once it's been on your skin for like 8 hours, it smells okay. But besides that, dude, this is a total pass. I don't get it. Totally lost on me. It's insulting. I'm not even that super horny about BR 540, but this is insulting to call that this, right? Now, Montsarra is a Mancera, however my left French, whatever. I actually think this isn't a clone either. I might wear this. This is very gourmandish, right? Like this has like this is much more vanilla. This has, like when it starts to dry down, I guess you can smell a little bit. It smells like a kind of a very sort of like dry, sort of a dry. I know my chair is squeaking a lot. I don't know if that's picking up on this new microphone, right? Um, Maybe a little bit of a sweeter, more vanilla, kind of like a dry, 540, but it's not a clone at all. It's very sweet. It's almost like a sort of I would compare the sweetness to sort of like a froth almost. Like almost imagine like maybe if there was a drink or something like this, right? Maybe you have a drink and it's a sort of froth, kind of a froth with a slight sparkle, because there is a bit of a, it's not exactly a drink, but I would compare the sweetness to maybe the froth left over from a drink. And there is a bit of a, I don't know if it's musk or whatever is in it, but there's a bit of a thickness, a bit of a aroma. And it's not necessarily a cold aroma or anything like that. So again, it's not exactly a drink, but there is a bit of a, there's a bit of a mist that gets you. There is a bit of a little bit of a maybe a sparkle, you know what I mean, from like the citrus in it. Maybe just a little bit of a sparkle left on that foamy vanilla froth, right? And as it dries down a little bit, there's even a little bit of a fruity nature. It's a little bit fruity. It's a little bit gourmand, right? I mean, this is, I think, oh, I have seen on Fragrantica, I've seen some people actually say that it smells like 540, obviously, and some people actually say it smells like Versace Eros. I don't think it smells like either of them really, but I have smelled a whisper sometimes of a sort of Versace Eros almost actually from this with the vanilla and the citrus, right? But totally different. And this has a fruity element to it. Again, performance was fine. Uh, this is something that I might wear because I like sweet scents, but I just have so many sweet scents. It's hard for me to justify thinking about wearing it because justify buying it. Does that make sense? It might be something I might get another sample of to try if I ever, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be going out with a lot of girls again, let me do some more like, tests, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, dude. I might do it in that because it is kind of my vibe, but I just have so many fragrances that accomplish a sweet vibe. It's hard for me to justify in my fragrance journey where I am. Does that make sense? I do think it is. I do think it is a good smell, though. Is it better than 540 subjectively? I don't know if it's better. Maybe objectively, I enjoy it more. Does that make sense? So anyway, I guess the main point of this, though, is I just want to say, don't believe all the people saying like, "Oh, this is a clone. This is a clone. This is a clone." Inevitably, once you smell so many fragrances, something's going to smell similar to something, right? That's inevitable, right? There's only so many different smells in this world, right? But definitely they aren't clones though. Sometimes people say something is a clone and I just totally don't get it, dude. You know what I mean? So I guess just give it a chance, right? So I'm giving I wanted to like the Montale one. I can tell you what, the Montale one I thought was so terrible. I don't know if I got a bad sample. The Montale one was so terrible and so different. Maybe they gave me a bad sample, dude. That's how bad I thought it was. But anyway, try it out, guys. Keep it on my channel active fragrance wise. The end.